Well, good morning, real estate fans. Alice Lema here, broker John L. Scott, Southern Oregon, Medford, Ashland, Grants Pass, doing Facebook Live. That's also going to be a podcast with a local market update. So today is Friday, May 29th. Super excited to be telling you about what's going on with the market here. We just had our phase one opening of the coming back from the coronavirus pandemic, and Southern Oregon was hit pretty hard, but we are rebounding. And the real estate market, interestingly enough, has had an unexpected reaction. So we still are selling a lot of property here in Southern Oregon. And I don't know that a lot of us were prepared for that, but part of it was the realization that people still need to move. There's still life events. Real estate is not always about going and getting the dream house. It's about your partner finding out they're having twins, or you finding out that you're being transferred somewhere else across the country, or perhaps one of your loved ones passed away and now the estate is left to deal with these assets. So it's not always all hunky dory in real estate land when it comes to people's motivation. And it really came out during these last 2 months what life events were driving people's moves here, both in and out of Southern Oregon. The other unexpected, interesting thing that happened is we have a lot of cash buyers coming from California and from Seattle. Now, if you remember, these were two of the more strict lockdown states. And now that things are just starting to open up a little bit, they are coming here. Most of them are cash, which is very interesting. And one in particular, we had a situation where they were buying large rural property, many tens of acres, and they paid cash. And they told me they did this because they're scared. They live in the Bay Area, and they mortgaged their condominium and bought a $700,000 rural property really in just a few days. They came here, bought it, went back, got their stuff, and now they're here. And the other interesting thing is a lot of these people can move from places like Seattle and San Jose and Los Angeles because during the pandemic, their employers realized they don't have to come to the office. These people can work from home. So many people are successfully working from home. A lot of us don't want to go back to the building. Actually, I'm a great example. I have a team of 6. We have a picture, if you're watching on the broadcast, picture of the John L. Scott building. It's a fabulous building, very centrally located, wonderful services, very pleasant, very nice. But we're not going back. And our reason was mostly because it took us so long to set up all of our equipment. And we notice we get a lot more work done. So we have more free time, which is great, free time to spend on our clients. So that is going to have some rippling effects into the commercial market, which we'll talk about next week when we get some numbers from the commercial brokers. But going back to the people that are moving here with cash, what this means is if you were thinking of selling, this is a great time because the inventory is still pretty low. I would say artificially low, in fact, because of the corona and people not really knowing what to do and when to do it. But we've got some great protocols in place. It's actually very straightforward now. Everybody knows to wear a mask. We've got gloves. The sellers turn on the lights, leave the house. If you are immune compromised, we had one person who has cancer. But they really need to sell their place. They stayed in one of the closets just for a few minutes so the showing could happen. We also have people doing a lot of virtual tours. The virtual tours are really saving our bacon when we're trying to sell in these situations because, especially if it's the 3-dimensional Matterport with a floor plan, with measurements, if you give all that to some of these out-of-town buyers or even local buyers, they can actually make a pretty good decision before they even go into the house. And some people can buy the house without going into it. Isn't that crazy? But it's working. So after our second month of being in this pandemic, we've got it figured out. We're successfully buying and selling houses for people. We have a huge influx of out-of-towners. And I think long-term, it's going to be quite interesting because imagine if all of a sudden you work for Google or you work for some big airline or you work for some huge company in a really big city, and you don't have to work in that big city anymore. You can live anywhere you want. Southern Oregon is the it girl. So this is just Alice making another prediction because you know I like to do that. But let's watch over the next few months and see how that all plays out. So if you're buying, the interest rates are absolutely killer. We actually had someone close at 3.0%, and it was a regular 30-year mortgage. It was nothing special. It was not a veteran's mortgage. It was not a 15-year. It was just a straight regular 30-year owner occupied mortgage on a regular 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Medford. We actually had one close in Ashland. That was more in the $490,000 range, but it's just crazy what people can do with their payment now. And if you're refinancing, which is something else we should talk about, we had somebody who just bought a property a year ago and their payment was $1,800, which was very comfortable. But now with the interest rates so low, they just refinanced and it's 1,500, and that includes the taxes. That includes Jackson County taxes, which, as you know, no offense, Jackson County, but you guys are pretty steep up there in the old price ladder. And if you are moving from out of the area and you're used to lower taxes, well, we're sorry, but that's part of how we continue to not have sales tax, because as you know, state of Oregon doesn't have sales tax except for a few places like Ashland, I think, has some restaurant tax or something like that. We have a hotel tax, but we don't normally have sales tax. But anyway, getting back to what's happening during the pandemic and as we're trying to come out of it, we are having some people go back to work. That's huge. We want our local economy to be strong. We also want our locals to be able to take advantage of this great real estate environment. So if you already own a home and you've thought about getting a rental or a second home, this is an absolutely stellar time to do that. Again, because the interest rates are so low, you'll just be shocked at what the payments can be. And the rents are still pretty high. So that is a side effect of not having enough rental property. See, it's all supply and demand. It's what we talk about all the time. You know, the real estate radio show that Pete Belcastro and I have on KCMX right now, it airs on Saturdays at 10 and Sundays at 6 p.m. We're constantly talking about the effects, the micro effects of supply and demand. And in the rental market, that's hugely susceptible to supply and demand. And so as people start to sell off their buildings, they're being scooped up not only by other investors, but also by people coming from out of the area, and they either want investments or they want to live there. So going back to the scenario where we've got these big rural properties that we could barely give away last year, right? The luxury, our quote unquote luxury market is really kind of in the $700,000 and up range, which for us is really quite substantial amount of money. But in some of these big cities, that's what a normal neighborhood house costs. So when people come here and they look at that and they see they can get 5 acres irrigated and a big house and a barn and, you know, a shop and all that stuff, and they can have their cows and their hemp and whatever they want to grow and eat there, they're pretty excited and they will scoop these things up, and it's starting to cause a little bit of a shortage. It's unusual to have multiple offers in that particular market. At least it was until recently, but so look for that. So here's the predictions. If you're buying, you want to get out there as soon as you can because the rates are really low. Now, the feds could keep the rates down for another year, so we don't know. But why wait? If you're ready to go, let's do it. And if you have something to sell, don't wait on that either because the inventory is really low. You could be one of the few people that gets on the market early this summer and you get a lot of attention. Then you get to move on to your next life circumstance without too much. And as far as the pandemic and the coronavirus goes, I'm telling you, we're into our end of our second month of using the protocols, and they're working. So we're very, very happy about that. So if you've got any questions, if you've got any concerns, we're going to do this live broadcast every week, and you can send me your questions. You can send me your comments. This marketplace update is for you. It's so that you can be educated and knowledgeable and feel secure when you're buying and selling real estate in Southern Oregon. And so you have all the facts. But it is a tragic time because we have had people all across the country be sick. Some of them passed away. We've had people who have passed away here, not necessarily of the virus, but they passed away because of the lockdown. Their families cannot even have a funeral. We have someone like that in our circle, and it is hard. But on the real estate side, all of this chaos and unexpected hardship has created a softness in the market. The prices are just a little bit low. I don't foresee that lasting very long. I think it's just a very minor little dip. But our numbers for May going into June are going to look very much like they did last year. So we could have even missed the bottom already. So think about what I said. Look at your life. Think about what you want to do or don't do with your real estate, and have a conversation with your family and see what's in your best interest to move forward in that department, because historically we don't know that this is going to happen again, although we did say that about the housing crash, right? So we said that about the housing crash, and then here we are again. But who would have predicted a worldwide pandemic? Oh my gosh. So be safe, be well, love your family, enjoy Southern Oregon this weekend. I'm Alice Lema, John L. Scott, broker here in Southern Oregon, helping people in both Jackson and Josephine counties. And you can reach me at 541-301-7980. You don't have to call me. You can call someone else. Love it if you'd call me. But mostly we just want you to be educated and comfortable when you go through these times. All right. Be well. We'll see you next week.